We started earlier this morning with a special cabinet meeting. Amongst the things that the special cabinet meeting considered was a briefing about the situation in the Eastern DRC, and Minister Motshekga and Minister Lamula will then brief you. I know those of you who came inside, the President gave you some remarks around that, but they'll give you a detailed brief in terms of the situation that is prevailing in that Eastern DRC and the work that is being done by our government as part of the SADC initiative. Also, we were briefed at the special cabinet about the implications of the withdrawal of the U.S. aid funding by the U.S. government, and Minister Motsoaledi will also give you that detail. But in terms of the Lekgotla, we are finalizing the medium-term development plan of the 2025-2029, which is the term of the 7th administration. And in terms of our focus, we are focusing on what are the practical actions that we need to take to make good of the promises that we have done. And as the President addressed us earlier, he emphasized the need for a step change and focus on practical actions, but also clear time frames on what needs to be done so that we can realize the 3 priorities that were communicated by the President of the 7th administration, which is inclusive, building an inclusive economy that creates jobs, eradicating poverty, and managing the high cost of living, and also building a capable state. We are also going to have the clusters, the various clusters, presenting their proposals in terms of what are the MTDP platforms, and depending on your need, we can also bring the cluster chairpersons to come and brief you about what they agreed and they are proposing from the clusters. But earlier, we also received a scene-setting report from the Minister of Finance and Treasury in terms of what is the economic outlook and the global trends, and what are the implications for the MTDP. We'll also receive from myself and the Statistician General what are the trends that will inform the planning, the government planning cycle as part of that work that we'll do. We'll also receive a report in terms of our work as we prepare to host the G20, not only about the logistics, but also the content of what the government of South Africa wants to pursue. You already all know the theme, but we are looking at what are those things that we want to achieve in terms of reform of global institutions, in particular the security system of the United Nations, but also global funding institutions. But we're also looking at how do we reform the funding institutions that are of South Africa, because we all know that the funding institutions of South Africa has not made an impact in funding the missing middle, which will be the teachers, your nurses, your soldiers, your police, but also funding the SMME. So we are looking at what are the reforms we need to bring there. Well, again, myself and Minister of Finance will then bring a table to the Cabinet Lekgotla, the Operation Vulindlela Reforms Phase 2. Remember, it was launched as we began the 7th administration, and say what are the targets that we are prioritizing to make sure that those reforms make an impact. And high on that is the work that is being led by the Department of Employment and Labor on employment creation that is meaningful.